Hi, I'm Alison from Boomerang and MoveSMART, and today we're going to do some supple psoas spine articulation. It's going to be awesome. But we're going to start with getting into a bit of a little mini lunge. If your knees are not happy, pop something extra under your knees to keep them comfy. And bring your left knee forward and start to just experiment with dropping your left bum cheek down towards the floor. You'll feel typically when you go into this lunge position that one hip is a little higher than the other. We're going to try and just play with moving them around side to side so that you get to a place where you're reasonably comfortably level, left, right. Now, bring your left hip forward and your left hip back. And your left hip forward and your left hip back. And you're working on leveling the other side. This is just a bit of a preliminary setup. Gets your core muscles working a little bit and finds you some nice space for your pelvis. So you want to be as close as is practical for you today to having your hip bones level this way and this way. And then from there, scoot your left foot forward a little bit. Put one hand on your sternum and one hand on the base of your ribs so that they stay nice and stable. And then tuck your pubic bones forward. So we're looking to get a little bit of a tailbone curl. So it's not your whole body moving. It's not your shoulders going anywhere. Just lower abdominals, zip up a little bit. And for some people, that's enough stretch right here in the bottom of the psoas and the upper part of the other hip flexors. We just hang out here. If that's enough for you, then stay there. Otherwise, scooch forward just a couple of inches. You're bringing your pelvis forward in space and letting the rest of your torso go along with you, as opposed to, again, moving any other part of you. Because now, we're going to go for some of the spine part. So you're staying in your nice little lunge, tailbone curl, pelvis a little forward. Keep your hands placed on top of your sternum and on top of your ribs. And then turn your chest away from your forward knee and come back to center and then toward your forward knee. And then come back to center and check, do you still have your little bit of tailbone curl or did you lose it in the process of rotating? And you're just going side to side. You'll find your balance is probably a little bit challenged here, and that's cool. See if you can imagine little bolts squeezing in the sides of your hips to get your lateral hip musculature, helping you to stay stable. One more time on each side. Coming back to center, check again. Are you still nice and stable through your torso? It's not unreasonable as you were twisting to have maybe done a little bit of rib popping, pulling into your back. So we want to keep everything nice and stacked and solid and stable. Even if that means your head and neck and shoulders are actually a little bit forward, it's the bottom of your ribs through your core to the top of your hips. That's what we're really interested in. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So right foot comes forward, lift and lower, finding that sense of space between your ribs and your hips on the one side and then on the other side. It's usually easier to do this on one side than it is on the other. So if it's not the same, that's okay. Couple more. Nice little slide down. It's like you're trying a weight at the bottom of your right hip, dropping your right hip closer to the floor. And then bring your right hip closer to your knee and farther away from your knee. So now this would be the back and forth, left to right, front to back levelness that we're playing with here now. Slide forward and slide back. So you might feel your obliques are involved in this process because you're twisting. It's going to help you when it comes to the twisting your upper body in a moment. And then you come on back to center. And now we go for the little tailbone curl. So you have your right foot a little bit further forward, so you've got some space if you want to bring your pelvis forward in space. Little tailbone curl, everything else stays nice and stable. Hands placed on your sternum and your ribs. If that's enough for you on this side, that's great. You just stay right there. Otherwise, bring your pelvis forward a little bit. We're looking for actual hip extension here rather than a bigger movement that's getting more of its motion from your spine and your ribs. So just that little tailbone curl, pelvis forward. Nice little bolts from side to side of your hips, and then twist away from your forward leg, and then towards your forward leg. Same thing, you're trying to keep that nice sense of space through your torso. If you imagine little air balloons in between each vertebra, as you twist, we're looking for your spine to maintain its length and its space as you turn, rather than as you turn, everything kind of crunches down in towards center. You're keeping your tailbone curl. There's a lot to think about here. One more on each side. Come back to center, and then turn towards your forward leg. Come on back to center. Bring your legs back down. Sit down on your heels. Fold your hands, and this time you're going to go to the side. If your feet are not happy sitting on the flats of your feet, you can come up on your toes. And if that doesn't work for you either because your feet are tight, just come up onto your knees. Flex the other way. Same idea with this idea of little balloons in between your vertebrae. So you're coming up and around and over rather than down and over. So up and around like a fountain, right? You can think of the height and the majesty and the beautifulness of a fountain coming up from below. It doesn't lean, right? Water doesn't come off to the side unless you direct it that way. It comes up and around. Keeping the hands on the chest and the ribs is partly to help you notice if when you come over to the side, you also pop your ribs forward or your shoulders back. You get the best movement through your spine for optimal spine suppleness and core strength by being able to notice what your body does and where you get the best kind of bang for your buck in terms of these connectors into the fronts of your ribs to your pelvis. That's the line that your obliques follow from side to side. Stack yourself all the way back up. And there you go, a little bit of psoas opening, a little bit of spinal manipulation, and have a great day.